I thought I would just share a couple of tips for those who are thinking about entering this fantastic film competition. If you're making your first short film, for example, um, I'm going to share five top tips, which I've certainly thought about. Every time I make a film, I think about these things. But I'm going to share the five tips, and let's see if that's something that you take away and you can imbue, absorb, and bring to your filmmaking. So, tip number one. I've actually got a piece of A4 here for each one, which is a bit cheesy, but there you go. Tip number one is watch, i.e., the first action that actually we're going to kick off tonight, which is we're going to watch some films. And I just wanted to emphasize the importance of watching films. I mean, that's where you will learn about the art form. That's where you will watch why filmmakers make choices, the choices they do. You know, you could watch, I don't know, Wes Anderson or Greta Gerwig or Martin Scorsese or Kubrick, whoever. But if you get off TikTok and Instagram and start to look at some of these great filmmakers, old and current, that's where you're going to find out, that's so interesting. The pace, the vision, the colors, the sound, why do they do this? And you kind of learn about the language of film, which is exactly what we're trying to grapple with so we can develop our own vision as well. So definitely, I could never encourage watching films more. That's number one. Cool. And the second one is, once you've watched all the films, and that doesn't really stop, does it? The idea for your short film. Imagination, that's where it all starts, isn't it? The idea. What are you going to say? What is the story? What's the idea? Why? What do you care about? Is it personal? People make very personal films. Is it something that you're really worried about or concerned about in the world? Social issues? Do you just love different types of films, genres, styles? Do you want to make people laugh? Do you want to make people cry? Is it a drama? Is it a documentary? Both are eligible for the filmmakers competition. But the key thing is, what is it? You've got to bring something of yourself, and you've got to say something with the film. So really reflect on that. You know, home, school, the world around you, and that's where it will all begin, from your imagination. So that's kind of an obvious one, but it is really important to really think about that first. That's the first thing you want to get right: the story, the idea. Then what? We're watching films. We're imagining the film we could make. And now we're getting into the idea of what films should be. And really, that's what films do, is that they show. They don't tell, they show. So really think about film. They're called movies because they move. It's space and time, it's images, it's visuals. So visualize and see if you can tell that story, that great idea you have, through images, not just through words. That's why we have films. I mean, if you wanted to deal with words and tell you what happened, then you could read a book or go to a lecture. But what films can do, what they can achieve through the power of images, is exactly what you're trying to achieve with your film. I'll just give you an example. So if I told you that there was a frail old man who was trying to cross one of the busiest streets in Luxembourg, I don't know which street that would be, personally, from London. But if I told you that, how would you feel? You'd be like, that sounds tough, sounds pretty sad, you know? I mean, I hope he made it. That'll be the end of it. But if I showed you a close-up of this man, his face, his frail hands shaking as he went to the edge of the curb, a stick perhaps in his hand, and the speed of the cars, the number of cars, the road, the threat, the jeopardy of him putting his first step there, sounds of his breath, heartbeat racing, and we follow him across the road, and you just think, oh, this is so tense. You know, your heart is racing and you think, is he going to make it to the end? And I hope he does, because if he gets hit, that's the end of his life. Maybe you get a flashback about his life as a young man and you are invested emotionally. So now how do you feel? And that's only images and films that can do that. So definitely show, don't tell. Try and think about 1, 2, 3 images that can say something more powerfully than words. Once we've got that, I've got this efficient word, which sounds like a really uncreative, non-arty word. It doesn't mean be fast, be quick, although it can mean that. I guess what I mean is, and it's something that Jeff hinted at with some of the criteria for the competition, use what you have. Use the tools you have, use the people you know, the places that you live in. That's how you'll get your films made. Not by waiting and thinking, oh, if only I could get that really cool camera, the new one that's coming out, and if I just get a bit more money or borrow it or rent it, and then I'll be a filmmaker. That's not how it works. The phones are more amazing than anything I would have dreamt of when I started doing this. And they really are. There's some amazing apps that can create film-making beasts out of your phones. Use them. Use them. Use the people that you know. You may not come from a family full of actors, but you always need somebody, so you could turn them around, and it could be the person that the actor is talking to. It could be your mum or your sister. Use the people. I mean, a lot of filmmakers, a lot of famous filmmakers have started using. When they started out, they were using people like their family, their friends, and it's something that it's about the doing of it. As I said, the places as well. Your garden, your school, your home. These are all locations. And also, don't write too many locations. Keep it simple. Lesser locations means you can actually get this done. Don't necessarily write a film that's set on the moon, unless your garden looks like the surface of the moon. Then it's fine. So that's it. Be efficient. Get it done. And the last one, because we do want to see these films, I'm dying to see them, is release. Get it out there. Stop. Know when to stop. Be brave. Because this is an unusual one. You think the journey begins and ends with making the film. It doesn't. It starts when you've decided this is it. This is the thing I'm going to put up there, and that is the bravest thing you could ever do. And you could ask any of the filmmakers who have films up here tonight. They made a decision. They put it out there. They released the film. They released their frustrations, their anxieties, their dreams, and their desires into the world. And there's nothing better. I mean, it will never be perfect. The films you make, especially at the start of your career, certainly the films I made, I can barely watch them. And I'm like, I can't believe I did that. But I was screening one of my earlier films, and this very, very, very well-known filmmaker said to me, you know what the difference between all these people who say they want to be filmmakers and you is, you are a filmmaker because you put your film out there, and it's there now. So now you're in a completely different category. So release the film, and release your desires into the world. So, just to recap, watch W. This is the cheesy bit. Imagine I. We're going to spell this together, right? Okay. Show the film, don't tell the film. S. And efficient, be efficient with what you have. E. And finally, release, relax. R. All together now, what's the word we spelled?
Wiser.
Wiser. And that's what you want to be. If you want to be a better filmmaker, be wiser. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hammad. That was great.